Welcome to episode 5 of our Kgalagadi Winter adventure. We had planned on this morning to go out early up north and left quite early when the gates opened to already find a queue of cars at the gate leaving up north. A little while after we left the gate, we already started seeing lion tracks on the side of the road. And ahead in the distance, we noticed a few cars slowing down next to the side of the road, queuing up, looking at something. We were about 4 or 5 cars behind the leading car that was clearly next to the lion on the side of the road.
It is really exciting for anybody in the park to see a couple of cars parked, because obviously there's something to look at. At that time, as Carmen said, there were only about 6 of us, wanting to look at the lion or kind of get a glimpse of him. We did have a bit of a kind of Kruger moment that morning, whereby the front car did not let anybody pass. He was literally driving alongside the lion. I don't even know, but it could have been about 45 minutes to an hour, or it felt like that anyway. During that time, the 5 to 6 cars that were first at the sighting ended up being close to 25 to 30 cars, as there was a really long queue behind us. It became very unpleasant. There were loads of angry people behind us. For the most part, even we couldn't really see the lion for all the time we waited. Nor could we get past any other car on the narrow road. This serves as a reminder just to make sure that you are being kind and courteous to other campers that would also like to see the sightings.
As well as us being rather agitated, sitting behind cars, not being able to see anything for over an hour, what felt like over an hour, our kids were also getting very frustrated. Knowing there was a lion in front, quite honestly, I think we would happily have driven past and given up on the sighting if we could have. Unfortunately, this wasn't possible. In the end, we did get a chance to drive past the lion. We travelled ahead quite a distance so that other cars could also pass, and then we also got a nice view of the lion from the front as it was still walking on the road, moving on and off the sides, crossing the road, just meandering as they do. As famous as the Kgalagadi is for their lion sightings, and also quite famous for having quieter, more enjoyable sightings with these predators, it just reminds us that it's not always guaranteed. Lion sightings in the Kgalagadi, especially in the middle of the day, are mostly uneventful. Only seldom do you get a very lucky experience where you see the lions interact with the nature around them or with other predators. After that sighting, we quickly started to make our way back to Nossob, as it had become quite a bit much. So something I tend to do when I'm at camp is I like to get all my cooking and prepping done in one go, usually cooking multiple things or preparing multiple things all at once. So when we were back at camp, I took the opportunity to make a few things that we would have when we were at Polentswa, knowing that it would minimize dishes if we could get it done at Nossop. So I thought I would show you two of our favorite things. The first thing I prepared was our potato bakes. I made two, so I doubled up on it, one to have that night and also one for when we were in Polentswa and we could just refrigerate in the meantime. And the second was our curried beans, which is always great as a snack with bread or toast or straight out of the pot. So when we make a potato bake, we start off by boiling all the potatoes, skins on, because we do use the Nossob water for a lot of that kind of boiling, although we won't drink it. Once they're cooked, we peel and slice them. The pre-cooking of all the ingredients does save time when the potato bake is on the fire so that it doesn't need to burn. We then fried up onions and peppers with a little bit of seasoning and layered the onions and peppers with seasoning and potatoes in thin multiple layers within a disposable aluminium container. I generally sprinkle a little bit of flour with each layer so that when we pour the cream on top, that the cream thickens on the fire with the flour inside. The flour just being a thickening agent. When you're ready to put it on the fire, you just top it off with cheese and obviously the cream. Our curried beans are made with a tin of baked beans. In this instance, we also used a tin of butter beans and boiled a few tomatoes and took the skins off before we chopped them up, alongside some chopped up and fried onion. Putting all of that in a pot with seasoning and a little bit of curry powder and a little bit of sugar, it makes a great side or a meal on its own. The best part is it can keep for a few days. This was our last day at Nossop. Although we started in the normal campsites, we had booked our third night at the Nossop premium campsites for the very first time. We were in two minds whether or not we wanted to move, as we were quite comfortable where we were, but the idea of trying out something different is always appealing.
Our neighbors had booked two campsites, the one he moved on to, and then our one as well. So he was kind enough to let us or give us the option to stay another night instead of having to pack up and make our way across to the premium sites. We were kind of on the fence whether to stay or whether to go, but I think at the end of the day what prompted us to kind of leave and go to the premium site was the thought of having our own shower, our own toilet, our own kitchenette just before we make our way through to Polentswa. After considering staying at our current campsite or moving to the premium campsite, we eventually decided to pack up or semi-pack up and move through to the premium campsite. What made the premium campsite particularly nice for us was the fact that we had our own shower, our own toilet, and our own little kitchenette. The sites are fairly spacious and fairly close to one another, so it's not like you're completely private. I know with our kids along with us, they prefer being in the main camp so they could make friends.
One of the downfalls I will point out is at night, each of the campsites in the premium side have these very bright lights by their kitchens, and it was a little bit disturbing to have quite so much bright light around. I did find that the regular campsites have a much lower level of bright light, because most people have their own lights which are less in your face. We just had a neighbor that kept their light on the entire night, which, when you're trying to take photos of stars or just enjoy the night sky, was a little bit difficult. In the end, you get what you get when you book at Nossob. It is hard enough to get a booking. I would happily go back to the premium sites just to get a booking there. However, if I had a choice, I would much rather stay in the normal campsites. The other consideration is it's considerably more expensive in the premium campsites. I don't personally think it's worth it for the kitchen and the shower that's private. Some people obviously do believe it is. I'm not fazed by using a communal bathroom. I do understand that some people don't particularly want to. In that case, the premium sites are for you. I will note that one night we had at the premium campsite, we were woken up by a lion roaring just in front of our fence. The next morning, I remember our son running to the fence and saw the lion footprints along the fence line. It was quite incredible to hear. It was the first time we've heard lion roaring at the Nossop camp.
Okay, we are going into the wild.
It was the next day that we left for Polentswa, which is our very first time at the Polentswa camp. And this experience turned out to be one of the craziest and most wonderful adventures we have had. Roy puts in summer was amazing, but I would go so far as to say that the next 4 nights at Polentswa do top it. If you've enjoyed watching this episode, please remember to like and subscribe. It does help us with the YouTube algorithm. And we'll see you in episode 6.